Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's me, caitom, and today we are building a city block in the world of Newcrest. I'm not sure what the name of this lot actually is, if it's actually Beach Byway, but it's the one with the two 20 by 15 lots. So this build, I've been wanting to do something like this for a bit after watching Simlessly's little city block thing that she built in StrangerVille. And after deciding that, maybe I want to rebuild Newcrest, I thought this would be nice to have. Just so it kind of fills up the lots that I have here. Currently in this neighborhood, it's just a bunch of houses, and I don't know if a typical suburban house would be the right size for this lot. It is a 40 by 30, a size that I find a little daunting, seeing as I usually stick to my 30 by 20s or 20 by 15s. So yeah, onto the build. I've generally finished the shell of the building and I'm just adding wallpaper, doing some fine tuning. This is my second attempt at building this. The first attempt, I didn't know where I was going, so I just scrapped it all and started building again. So I knew that I wanted to have a sort of industrial restaurant or coffee place, a cafe on the furthest left building, and a little library slash bookstore in the middle building, and the smallest building on the very right. I think I initially intended that to be like a bar, but since there's already a restaurant here, I decided just to turn it into a vet clinic. And in hindsight, it is quite small to fit all of the necessary items, but it is technically functional. As I go through furnishing the lots, you'll see how I change the lot types and make sure I hit every single requirement. So that's how I know that it is technically functional. Although when I place it in my world, I will have it as a library and pretend it's a bookstore. So right now, I'm getting all the windows, all of the doors, like the little overhang for the outdoor seating, for the restaurant. And for this occasion, I will be calling it a restaurant, even though in my head it's a cafe. I can't actually make a cafe because I don't have the lot type. I think it comes with, I want to say get together. I'm not sure, but I don't have that pack. Although it is on sale right now, I think. Maybe in the future. So for this build, I knew I wanted to have like a little road with cars, and this is you'll see that I'm doing, you'll see that I'm going through debug, getting some items to fill the street and like the sidewalk area. Yeah, I had such an experience looking through the debug catalog, trying to see what would make this feel as organic as possible. I don't think that's the right word, but like, sorry, I meant to say as realistic as possible. But like my only knowledge of like these kinds of city blocks is from the various occasions that I travel to the city, which doesn't happen often, because I live in a suburban area, as I assume most people do. Honestly, I think I took inspo from just like pictures on Pinterest. Although I will say the pictures on Pinterest make it seem much more glorified and aesthetically pleasing, and not like something you'd actually see in America. So basically they were all just like kind of European, which I think is harder to replicate. I mean, this kind of thing is hard to replicate, period. But the ones that I see on Pinterest with maybe like a little half crescent or like a half moon shape like jutting out of the front, that was kind of hard to do considering the rounded roofs. The rounded walls. And I think gameplay wise it'd just be terrible. Absolutely terrible to play around with, considering I'm using platforms and there's like lighting bugs involved. And if I were to add the rounded walls, I think I would actually lose my mind. So right now I've added fences to kind of outline the perimeter, because I didn't know if me putting trees there would fit. So I kind of mimicked well, for the back of the build, I kind of mimicked what I usually see with buildings around my area. Just like a little back way for trucks. I mean, I don't know if it would make sense for these kinds of lots, but it looks nice. And right now I'm going through more debug stuff. So debug benches, debug street lights, that little like newspaper thing that you see around the world, a debug trash bin, and debug tree holders. I'm not sure what the word is for that. Oh, and the drains and the fire I'm forgetting the word. I'll remember later. And now I'm just going through debug. I think I'm looking for the StrangerVille stuff just to kind of fill up the back, because I didn't want to put windows, but then the back looks super empty. So hopefully me going through debug kind of mitigates how plain it feels. And here I'm just looking again through debug, finding stuff to fit for the exterior. I realize now that I don't have signs for any of the businesses here. Well, mainly just the library / bookstore. I have like a little floor sign. Yeah, a floor sign that kind of has an arrow pointing to the door, but nothing higher. Nothing like the cafe and how I found that sign in the debug, which I don't know where it comes from. It's base game, but I don't remember seeing it around the base game worlds. Oh well, that's something I'll think about later. Right now I'm working on the sidewalk on the other side of the street. I'm just adding benches, more street lights, and the red thing that firefighters use to pull water from the street and in case of fires. So for this outdoor seating area, I decided to have debug chairs. Don't expect it to function, because it won't. I only wanted to change that to debug because I remember hearing something about how Sims can sometimes get confused if there are too many seating options. And considering I'm gonna have a sofa in the vet clinic, the library, and I don't know if the benches are functional. I don't think they are, but if they were, that's why I opted for debug outdoor seating. Just now you saw that I replaced those debug trees with actual trees from City Living. Because if I were to add like one of the regular like nature trees, or like the real trees, it would clip into the building. So the City Living ones are small enough and also have like their own little pot, which looks kind of cute. And then also I changed the street lights from the a base game debug one to, I think this is also city living. They're quite fancy, and when I show my mom, she's like, oh, is this like a French street? I'm like, no, the street lights are just a little fancy compared to the rest of the exterior. Yeah, and now I'm just adding the roof pieces. It's like to mimic like I don't know, not generators, air conditioning. Yes. And the trash bins. So these trash bins in the back, they are debug, mainly because I want to get the blue ones and the black ones to represent the trash and recycle. And that's mainly because that is how the trash cans are where I live. And right now, as you can see, I am starting to work on the interior, well, at least the floor plan, making some minor adjustments as we go. So the vet clinic, as you can see, it's quite small. I had to fit a bathroom, an exam table, and a seating area. And considering that the entry is on a diagonal, that made the rooms kind of weird. I'm now working on the bookstore / library. I wasn't sure how I was gonna lay it all out. I knew I wanted a skylight and maybe like an indoor balcony that lets the light through all the way down to the ground floor. But I think I made the width too small. Right now, the part that I'm working at, this section is like 5 tiles wide. Excuse me. I think I should have made it 6 tiles wide. Because if I were to put bookcases on the second floor, there would not be any walking room, and it would just purely be for decoration. I mean, which isn't bad, but I thought it'd be nice to have Sims walk through there, take some books out and read, like, against the railing, but we cannot have that, I guess. And now, finally the lights have been added and we can all see, I'm adding flooring and wallpaper. For this restaurant, I knew I wanted to have, like, an industrial vibe, which is why I add Dine Out brick and Jungle Adventure flooring. Just because I think it gives off industrial vibes. It's kind of like worn down, sorta, and there's like discoloration. So I think that fits. If it doesn't, I think it looks nice. And I'm just figuring out the wallpaper for the library and the vet clinic. But for the library, I went for a peach color at first, but then I was like looking how it was next to the vet clinic wallpaper, which is Parenthood, and I thought it looked too similar, so I opted to make the library a light pastel blue, like a sky blue, baby blue. I mean, I think it looks nice, probably a little older than I intended, but I mean, it's okay. We could just see it's giving the library some personality. Right now I'm just working on the bathroom. I think it's been a while since I built a restaurant from scratch, so I'm like confused on how to furnish it and decorate it. I mean, but to be fair, like, almost every single wall is covered by windows, so there's really not much room to add decoration. Excuse me, I had to drink water. Oh yeah, this is the part where I go through every lot type and get the requirements. So I got the requirements for the restaurant, and I'm working on the vet clinic. There's the exam table. Initially I wanted that clinic to be somewhat run down, but I thought with the way that the restaurant was, it's looking a little luxurious. It wouldn't make sense for me to have like a cheap vet clinic at the end of the block. So I do go in and change that for more expensive, well, the not dirty looking items. Yeah, there wasn't really much room to add multiple exam tables, so I opted for, I believe that is a treat maker in the same room as the exam room. And also the door to the back is also through the exam room. I didn't want to have the bathroom be at the very front, because first of all, the lighting that gets through those windows is too good to be wasted on some Sims just taking a piss. So I do have to make that decision to have the exit door through the exam room. And now I've started working on the library. I'm keeping a pale wood / light blue color scheme with, I believe, all the furniture, well, the desks, the chairs, and the bookcases are all from university. This is what I mean by it gives off an older feel. I do decorate it very much like a library, which is understandable. I mean, it is very small. I think the biggest building is probably the restaurant, and that's not what I'm gonna use this lot for. But it's okay. I can make adjustments later. Right now I'm just adding windows to the second floor. Just cause it's so sad that the back isn't gonna have windows, considering the lighting that gets through during the day. So for the sake of lighting, I do have the windows on the back. Now I'm just going through the bathrooms of the library, putting some minimal decorating. Oh, and right here, I'm working on the front desk. This is like the only bookstore part of this entire build. I will say I do forget to clutter it. So it only has a computer and like a lamp. But I will go back in and add maybe like a pencil holder or something, and like some stray books lying around. You know, it could even just be like the checkout area for when you are checking out books and not buying them. And now that I've finished all the requirements, this is where I go in and do all the fine-tuning, the cluttering. I will say, decorating a restaurant, I think I said this earlier, but decorating a restaurant was kind of hard. Not much wall space. That is entirely my own fault. And I don't know what kind of industrial or like metal decorations I had. I knew I had a menu, or like I needed to put a menu and some music items. So I do add speakers on the top of the wall. Curtains. The curtains were something that I struggled with. I didn't know what looked nice, you know, if it looked too much, if it looked too little, and if it was going to clip with the tables. I mean, clipping with the tables usually doesn't bother me, but for this it did. So I opted for the safe option, which is Desert Luxe curtains, only because the curtain rods, or it just comes with curtain rods that I can just put over the large long windows. Yeah, that table in the back you just saw with the view to the truck, not the best view. but it has good lighting, and if there's anything that I've mentioned during this entire video, it's that lighting is very nice and something to think about. Yeah, so after I do the general interior, I think I'm just adding plants to the exterior. I think it looks a little plain. There's really not much going on. So I attempt to add some foliage from, I think, Cottage Living. I think I keep the ones on the front, and I don't know, or I don't remember if I kept the ones on the side. And now we are back to the interior. So these posters are from Cool Kitchen Stuff Pack. I thought it gave that industrial vibe, so I just kind of put it on the wall and called it a day. I'm adding some stuff above the door just because I think it'll add something of interest. Excuse me. And now I'm in the kitchen. I think I used the base game kitchen counters. The metal one. Yep, that one right there. And the utensils on the wall are from the Cool Kitchen Stuff Pack again. I think it's like the regular cooking utensils and the knives. This kitchen size, I will say, is very small. And I forget to add a fridge, which I will have to make sure to add before I upload to the gallery. Yeah, so to the tables, I add salt and pepper shakers. I was considering adding the table menu that comes with Dine Out, but I do decide against that because it would take a lot of alt placing, and I had already sat like 2 hours straight working on this build. It may not seem like a long time considering how other people, or how long it takes other people to build, but I don't have the time to, I just don't have the time to sit that long. Yeah, I was considering adding a window to the kitchen, but I decided against it. Just because I needed wall space for decoration. I add aprons and I add a cork board, sort of to simulate how they would take orders. But I will say it would make more sense to have it above the actual cooking area. So that's just one of the perks of The Sims being pretend. I do consider adding rugs, but with the way that the tables are, I wasn't sure if it would make much sense. So you're just gonna see a lot of wood, a lot of brown, and a lot of black. I do add like some little glowing sign on the outside, again for some visual interest. And now I'm working on the library. So for diagonals, there's just something about The Sims that they decide to say, hey, let's not have the grid be a perfect square, and so every single diagonal is actually going to be longer than one regular straight wall. And it is for that reason that finding curtains that fit both the regular wall and the diagonal wall was kind of hard. And yet again, I go for the Desert Luxe curtains, the safest option in my opinion. So now I am working on a little study area. I was considering having glass doors to kind of close off the space and you know, kind of have like a little quiet study area, but I leave it open with arches. And I mean, with a building like this, I don't know how loud it would get, considering there are a lot of desks for studying, a lot of books for reading and doing a bunch of quiet work. And also, I don't know if the doors would function well right up against the chairs. because again, the size of that room is a 3 by 5, I think. Basically, it's not very large. It could be bigger, probably should be bigger, but it's okay. And now I'm on to the second floor. And those are the bookshelves that I mentioned earlier that is purely for decoration because your Sims cannot access it. But it's okay because there are bookshelves on the first floor and on the wall. So I'm going in with more Desert Luxe curtains. For this side, oh, don't mind me, I'm just adding some minor decoration to the industrial restaurant. So for this side with all the windows, I didn't want to put more chess tables or books, so I opt for painting for easels. For easels. I imagine the bookstore or the bookstore owner to have an interest in painting, another quiet hobby that isn't reading, and also with a nice sun. I feel it'd be very nice to look out the window, actively ignore the trucks that are parked outside the window, and just enjoy the sunlight. So this shelving, the red shelf that you see me using here, it is a CC shelf that allows me to have objects be placed at a certain height. I could use the tool object, but it's just faster to use the red shelf. I will link it down in the description box if you're interested in using it. It's not a script mod, just like a regular CC mod. Very useful. For the second floor, I don't remember what curtains I use. I thought I used the Desert Luxe. Yep, I'm doing it right now. It's a real shame that the curtains don't reach the floor. And they're like, I don't know, a couple inches off the floor, but you know, it's okay. I play with the walls all the way down anyways. And now we are on to the last building. This is the vet clinic. As you can see, I'm just adding some chairs. I assume that a pet owner would wait in the exam room, you know, give the pet some comfort. I don't know how realistic that is, considering that I've never owned a pet that needed to go to a vet. But from what I assume, they are probably just wait in the waiting room like other clinics. But it's okay. It's The Sims, and it just needs to look sort of realistic and not act realistic. So we are just about done with the build. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know what you think. And I hope to see you all later. Bye!